Good afternoon, guys. This is Tim from Grumpy Old Mechanics. Today we're doing a inner and outer tie rod on a 2012 F150, and we're doing the wheel bearing also. Wheel bearing's a lot easier to do with the tie rod on hooked anyway, especially since I'm at home. So I'm going to do the tie rod portion first so I can show you guys how I'm going to do it. So first, take this nut off. Tassel nut, that's a 21. And now I'm just going to hit it right here to break it loose. Hit the camera there a little bit, but there we go. It's broken loose. Now here, since this is a through tie rod design, I'm not even going to try on bolting this. I don't have a torch here other than a little handheld one. So you got it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut through it with a grinder, snap it off, and it'll be a heck of a lot easier than trying to wrench that off the whole way. All right, guys, I got it cut through right there. I'm not the whole way through, but should snap off pretty easily. Burn a hole through my gloves with sparks. That was kind of cool. So anyway, what we're gonna do now, make sure you can see that. I'm gonna take this clamp off. And if you look back here, you can barely see it, but there's that clamp right there. Basically what I do, I put a flathead screwdriver in there. I try doing this one-handed. That's probably not going to work out very well, but I'll try one more time. I'll wedge a flathead screwdriver on there, and then, all right, I'm going to put my phone down before I smash that with a hammer. All right, basically what I'm trying to show you is you just put a flathead screwdriver back here, right where that band's crimped together. One good whack, band comes right off. Just pull that boot off. There we go. The bellows boot is off. There's the clamp. So now what we have is this part here, and they sell an inner tie rod tool for it, which does make it a lot easier, but I'm really cheap. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a big pipe wrench. I'll try to do this so you can see it on camera. Oh, hyperextended my elbow there. I didn't think it would come loose that quick. Oh, that hurts. I'll tell you what, when you get old, things really start to hurt that you didn't know existed. And it didn't actually hurt from the force I was putting on it. It literally hurt because of how quick it broke loose, and my elbow just shot straight out. There we go, it's out. Let me go grab the new one quick. So it's always wise when you're putting this back together, you put a couple drips of Loctite on here. It'll help lock it in place and keep it from coming loose. There we go, I got my Loctite on there. All right, guys, I got that cranked down pretty good. Like I said, I just used the pipe wrench, cranked it down. A little bit of Loctite on there. Now I'm just going to slide this back on. And then back here to reattach that clamp, I'm just going to use a zip tie, 2 zip ties hooked together. the bellows boots are in good shape. We're not going to bother replacing them, but if they're torn, you can replace them, because if water gets in there, it'll rust that joint out pretty quickly. And as usual, I will put a link in the description for these parts off of Amazon. And these are parts that I've been using for years, parts that I know will hold up fine, and for a very, very inexpensive price. Now I'm going to move on to the wheel bearing portion of the job before I finish anything else up here. Alright guys, I hope you can see that well enough. I'm doing a wheel bearing on this now. I already got the outer tie rod on hook. The back two caliper bracket bolts are 21. Got the two 21mm bolts out. And I know the general rule is don't leave this hanging from the brake hose. But as long as you don't leave it fall, it's going to be perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Now I'm going to pop the brake rotor off. And if it's been a while since it has had brakes or anything done to it, that's not going to come off very easily. We just did brakes on this, I guess about 5-6 months ago. So for the ABS wire, because the new wheel bearings come with new ABS wires, this is a 8mm up here. Everything else is just held in with little clips. So hopefully you can see it all on camera. We got a clip here. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just follow the ABS wire, find where the clips are, and unclip them. And then up here, it's held in with 2 push pins in the fender liner. I actually just pull those push pins out right here so I can get it down low enough so I can work on it pretty easily. Now we got this red safety clip right here, but I should be able to just push this down and, yep, there we go, separated it. All right, so now that we got the ABS wire completely separated, the brake caliper off, I'm gonna go ahead and take this little dust cover off without mutilating it. And then oddly enough, Ford's axle nut is this little guy right here, and this is just a 13mm. Yes, I am taking it off by hand because I forgot my 13mm socket at work. Once that's off, you want to, there, it's loose, it'll push through with my finger. If that doesn't push through, you want to thread the nut back on a few turns. Give it quite a few whacks lightly with a hammer so you don't bitch those threads up. So on the back side here, there's 4 18mm bolts. I'm going to see if my lovely little Ryobi impact gun will break them loose or not. There's one. All right, so I got all 4 of those bolts out. And normally wheel bearings are an absolute nightmare to come out. But on Fords, I've learned there's a rubber O-ring in there because of the vacuum operated hubs. You don't have to worry about unhooking anything from the back for the vacuum part.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
But if you hit it with a hammer a few times, these normally pop right out. Because there's an O-ring in there. All right, guys, so I got the new wheel bearing. I got the old wheel bearing out. Missed it on camera. My scrap guy came and was picking up a couple things. But here's what the new one looks like. It slides in here. There's gears inside here too. And that's the vacuum operated hubs. Nice and clean inside of there. I don't have to worry about wiping anything off. There's nothing special with getting this lined up. I run the ABS cable under the backing plate here. Loosely start all 4 of your 18 millimeters. You want to have them all loosely started before you tighten them. All right, there we go. They're all started. Now I'm going to tighten them up. And I don't know if it matters, but I do these, at least the first 2, in a cross. And I'm always going to make sure to go back, and the very first one I tighten, I'm going to hit it again. All right, there we go. I'm going to go throw my brake rotor back on, make sure there's nothing, no chunky rust on the back of it. If you put this on and there's a piece of dirt on the back hat of that rotor or something hard, it'll end up causing a brake vibration pretty quickly. All right, now I'm going to get my caliper thrown back on. Put my 2 21 millimeter bolts in. Now those brake bolts you want to snug down pretty good. I have seen them loosen up in the past. I don't think I've ever had it happen to me, but I've seen it happen. Now I'm putting the 8 millimeter ABS cable bracket bolt back in. Now I'm going to go through and route this cable correctly. As I've stated in previous videos, it is very important that you have this cable routed the correct way, because if you don't, it's going to end up rubbing through on something, and then you're going to have to replace the ABS wire again, either for yourself or a customer. And that's just not something you want to do. Costs you more money and pisses people off. Snap that back in up there. There we go. Now I'm going to put the little baby 13 millimeter axle nut back on. And I've done a few of these where on Fords where some of them are 13, some of them are 15. I don't know why they're different sizes. I honestly do think 13's a little small. There we go. Put the little dust cover back in. And that's basically how you do a wheel bearing on one of these. And we replaced this one because there was a growling noise he was having while driving. Ended up doing both fronts. I'm going to go on and finish up the tie rod end here. All right, guys, so to finish up this outer tie rod end, outer and inner, I should say. So you're always going to have to get alignment done after you do this job. The one thing you can do to help get it a heck of a lot closer is I just kind of line up the old tie rod like that. You can see the jam nuts at the same spot. So when I thread the new one on, it should be pretty goddamn close. All right, guys, I got it threaded on. I turned the steering wheel straight up there. I'm gonna put these grease fittings in that it came with. I see so many of these come into work for alignments that they just leave that grease fitting out because the old ones didn't have it. That is the worst thing to do. I can tell you right now that that tie rod's going to go bad in less than a year because water's going to get down in there. It's going to rust that socket and it's going to cause play. No other way around it. So I made the steering wheel straight so I can kind of eyeball this all up. It looks like I'm pretty good. I'm gonna thread it out just a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Now I'm gonna put the castle nut back on, which is a 21 millimeter in this instance. You do not want to make that very tight. You want to make it tight, but you don't want to make it that tight. That's what cotter pins are, to hold it together. If you make it too tight, it'll end up making the steering hard. It'll make it a little bit wandery. You'll lose some of the return to center. And I'm going to pop that cotter pin in here. There we go. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to drive it down to the shop and have the alignment done on it in a couple of days and deliver it back to the customer. So I hope this helped you guys somehow. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe.